Good afternoon, beautiful people of Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to today's edition of Tech Vibes. And as usual, today promises to be very, very informative and exciting. Welcome to today's edition. And yeah, Lagoon Radio is your number one online gospel radio. And here we're broadcasting live from our Marina studios. I want us to engage into this conversation and follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, which is Lagoon Radio Nigeria. For Twitter and Instagram, it's Lagoonradio.Ng. Yeah, you can watch us live on our YouTube channel, which is Lagoon.TV. And for more optimal information, for more info, you can visit our website, which is Lagoon.News. And I'm still your host. I still remain my humble self, Odo Emmanuel. Sure, you can call into the show. Let's interact. Let's continue with the series that we started like 4 weeks now. Yeah, the number to call in is 081-89-524-666. I repeat again, 081-89-524-666. So today, for the past 4 weeks, we've been looking at how to build a startup or how to start up something. And consecutively, we've been talking about different things. We've looked at how to build your minimal viable product. We've talked about even how to kickstart your product. And last week, of course, we looked at other things. And today, we are going to be generally talking about certain things that you need to do and some tips and advice with regards to things that we should do as startups or as founders or co-founders, because we are tired of always complaining in this country. We need to start to look inwards and see how we can even help ourselves grow as a nation, rather than sitting down there and complaining about the government, why the government is not doing this, why the government is not doing that. We on our own, what impact, what value are we adding, to our own space? So that's what led to this continuous series. So that led to this. So today, without wasting much time, I just want to talk about some few things. But ideally, this contents were not mine; they were picked from Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is a growth accelerator program based in the US, and the whole idea is they help startups grow globally. So these things, there's a disclaimer, it's not my original content, so I'm getting it from there. But I just felt like it's important for me to share some of the points, which they highlighted some pain points that they highlighted for startups to be able to actually grow. It will be very, very unethical, or it will be somehow painful after spending your time, your energy, your resources into a particular venture, and at the end of the day, the venture doesn't see the light of the day. It doesn't make any sense, because, truth be told, you spend time, you spend energy, and you spend money. So rather than just waste those times and the energy into a product that would have been viable, into a product that would have even become a world class or a global brand, at the end of the day, we end up, just missing that opportunity. So that's why we're taking time to guide ourselves through this process, and doing our own due diligence by researching on those topics, and try to impact this thing so that we will all be in a win-win situation in this country and develop our country. Yeah, let me digress a bit. I listened to one of the political aspirants yesterday, which is okay. Let me not brand his name. So, but I picked a lot of very resourceful things that he talked about. He was talking about repositioning, revamping the economy. It was very strategic, and he really focused on SMEs. So he was thinking about that in every economy, the driver of every economy is the SMEs. So what am I driving at? So it's still in line with what we're talking about. So what he's saying is like a subset of what we are doing here. So for like 4 weeks now, we've been talking about how to drive, startups, how to really help, people grow from just being SMEs. There's a difference between just an entrepreneur and a business owner. So, well, our focus here, aside from this being a tech show, but our focus here is to help, especially in the area of like maybe software startups grow, since this is a tech show. So the whole idea, why I digressed a little bit was because he was talking about how to rebase the economy, strategies on how to, grow, at least help the economy grow. And the focus, the key thing he talked about was just the entrepreneur. That's the small and medium scale businesses, which is the driver of every economy. So imagine if you have like a million startup, in Nigeria here, cut across every part of every state of this country, that is technology driven. It might not necessarily be a software startup. It could be startup. Basically, is just solving problems. That's just it. They are being able to identify a problem and use technology to help transcend that into the next level, solve the problem, and as well get customers and who knows, you can metamorphose into a very big company. So that's the whole idea. So there are some key points I really want to highlight today, and it's going to really help us in terms of our journey in our progression or in our journey as a startup. You know, of course, I was listening to Elon Musk yesterday. So if you don't know who Elon Musk is the richest man on earth. He's a techpreneur. He's crazy about space. So he built the first SpaceX satellite and first automation lab. He talked about Tesla. But one of the major thing I was able to get from him is he said something that struck my and that caught my attention and that struck me. He said, even though that he's building this thing and it goes to space and it dies, he has already established something that someone else will take over from where he stopped. Which is, he even said when he started the Tesla thing, the SpaceX thing, he never knew he was going to be able to shoot a rocket out of space. But it was just based on ideation, and now they've started sending shuttles. In fact, they are doing it better than the his predecessor, people like NASA and the other countries. So, what in a nutshell, what he was saying was that impossibility is nothing. Everything boils back to you as an individual, what you set as your own priority, what you think is right, and you see a solution. You see a problem, maybe a problem that you personally encountered. Maybe you're trying to sign up for a thing and the thing didn't work out that way and decided to build your own, maybe using a website or a tool or whatever, to start up your own thing. Maybe it could be, maybe you had one disease or the other, and maybe based on diagnosis, they've not been able to find a particular cure to it, and you decided to pick up that thing as a challenge to you. I've seen so many people who are not medical doctors or researchers, but due to one ailment of maybe their loved ones, and they decided to maybe either pick a degree in that in regards to that, and they just at the end of the day, do their findings, do a lot of research, and they come out with a breakthrough in that area. So a lot of people have succeeded in this way. So this is how startups actually build, how people actually build businesses. So it has to be as a form of, or as a necessity, something that is a need that is personal to you, or you spot an opportunity somewhere and you take advantage of it. So my first point today is launch now. If you see a problem that you want to solve, there's no point procrastinating, because procrastination is number one thing that kills every business, that kills every startup, that even kills every technology driven idea that you have. So for instance, I said, okay, I want to solve the issue of logistics, and I'm just daydreaming. I know I just have this idea and I've been writing them out in all kinds of books. I'm forgetting that there's a process that I need to go through to be able to know how to do those things. Yes, I've spotted the problem and I understand that logistics is a very big, maybe a very big business that I can venture into, but particularly not even being able to understand how I'm going to solve those problems. What tools do I need to be able to accomplish those tasks? What do I need to do? Put in place the right staff, the right knowledge, the right partners, the right traction. How do I get my customers, customer acquisition? So these are the things you need to put in place before you jump into anything that you're doing. So my first take home point today is, so I rightly said, it is a disclaimer. I am not the author of those things, but I I picked them from Y Combinator because I believe everything on their website is detailed and is thoroughly vetted. So I'm sure they know what they have done and the contents there. So what is like I was saying, you launch now. What kills startup most, or what kills good ideas most, like I said, is when you try to procrastinate. These are demons. These are things that will not make you scale. Once you have a product or something, even if it's a landing page, even if you cannot develop the whole website, just something that people can, make reference to. Even you can build a mailing list. I had a couple of meetings that I was with some co-founders, and some of them have not even launched their product. They have beautiful ideas. So what they just did was set up a mailing list or a waiting list, and then they talked to a lot of people, a lot of users. They joined different forums, sent in the waiting list, and a lot of people actually, from maybe the cover story or something, they've I had a lot of success stories, them telling me how some said they had 300 users already waiting for a solution for their app that they've not even launched yet. Some people say they had another person said they had 30. So these are strategies of actually you know being able to get your app out there. So rather than just waiting to build the next sci-fi application, waiting to build the next Facebook, or waiting to build the next metaverse, or waiting to build the next TikTok, or waiting to launch if it's a landing page, push it out, let people see it, let them even understand the whole idea, the concept behind what you want to, the problem that you're solving. Get a landing page, push it out, let tell the world about it, start to make noise, talk to users, talk to people about it. Secondly, another thing we need to understand is it's not just all ideas are good, but some are actually ideas that can scale. It's not all ideas that you have that might become a viable business. So you need to build something that people want to use. For instance, you cannot just be building like how would what kind of example would I use? You can't be building an accounting app for maybe people who are laboratory scientists. You should be able to understand the kind of tools they need to help them do their research, tools that will help them check all those their chemicals, maybe the components, maybe the size, the weight. They need thermometers, they need heaters to boil those gases to evaporate. If you don't understand their business model, or you don't understand their field, you don't do your due diligence in terms of research to be able to understand what they do, you end up building a solution that nobody's going to use. So do your due diligence. So, like I rightly said, there are two ways that intuition comes to people. It might be directly to you, like a problem that maybe you faced. Like I gave an instance in my introduction speech. I talked about my introductory speech. I talked about, you know, it can be an ailment, maybe due to your loved ones that have fallen sick in the past or something, and you decide to still, okay, solve the problem, maybe do your own, pick up a degree in terms of in that field and try to solve the problem. It could be maybe an opportunity that you just spotted. Maybe you've been listening to stock news a lot and you observed maybe a particular pattern and a trend, and you think it's something that all those traders would like to use, and you build it. Maybe you build a template and start to sell it to all the traders. Who knows? It might be the next big Facebook. It might be the next Instagram. It can be the next TikTok. It can be the next Apple. It can be the next Microsoft. Who says that you cannot be? I saw an article over the week of a Nigerian guy that built a platform that is worth like $7 billion in the US. I don't figure his name. So you can see that, and this world that we're living in is a world that is driven with technology. We're now in the era of technology 4.0, where we talk about machine learning, artificial intelligence. We talk about robotics, IoT, interconnectivity. People are doing, beautiful things with all these tools. So build something that people want to use. Understand people's problems. Do your research. Get to understand what people need. It might be in transportation. Maybe you start to build drones that can deliver goods real time to people. It can be even in terms of security. Maybe you have a night raider, sorry, a night raider, a night, what's it called? It can be anything. It can be in terms of even logistics that I talked about, how to build. You can still build drones that can deliver goods, groceries, real time. It can be any field. It cuts across every part, every sphere. Understanding a problem, a particular problem, and finding a way to solve them using technology is what really matters. So this is so because I talked to a lot of startups and I found out that most of them why they don't scale is they just want to follow trend. Maybe because somebody's Mark Zuckerberg built Facebook and they just want to build Facebook. They don't understand that. Okay, I listened to Mark Zuckerberg's story of how they built Facebook, and it all started that he has been building series of solutions, something similar to that, mailing list, different things, and so while he was doing that, he was getting feedback from users, he was getting feedback from students, students like him. So after building like 10 different applications, then he now realized that, look, you know what? We need a platform that can make people, connect socially. They can relate, upload their pictures, and another person can, just talk to the person. And this was just campus based. It wasn't even something, it wasn't even envisaging the whole world, a platform that will go viral or go global. So what they were just doing was something within their campus there in Harvard or something. And they just built a tool, and students were just engaging on the platform. They were just chatting, dialing there, and uploading their pictures. From there, while they were doing that, while they were still on that, other students from other schools started writing to him that, okay, we need this such solutions in our campuses. So that was how they spread across all the campuses in US. So at a point, even they didn't even scale at that point. Even at that point, when they were doing all those things, they were not even thinking of scaling. So it was at a point when they found out that they had a large base of users, and people outside the scope of schools or the environment, school environment, wanted something. They wanted to associate with. They wanted to be. They wanted to have that end thing too. That was how they found out that they had the business. The same thing, Steve Wozniak and Bill Gates. Bill Gates wasn't the first person he didn't even build a PC. What he just did was he built an operating system which allowed people to have a PC. And his dream was to have computers in every home, which in fact he has surpassed that his vision, because now we have not just laptops. People have smart devices here and there, smart wristwatches, smartphones, things like that. So everything begins with an idea, with a vision, just solving the right problem. Now everybody wants a smartphone to communicate. Everybody wants to send messages. Everybody wants to chat. Everybody wants to do a viral video to go, gaga and have a lot of fans, and at the same time make money. So find the niche, find the problem, solve it. Thirdly, what I want to say is do things that don't scale, because I just made reference to what Mark Zuckerberg said. I watched his interview, and he talked about how they were just they were on a low scale. They were just building and building for schools. They were building for schools. They were just there for years managing those servers. It was even real time. It was a very big issue for them, because being able to manage different servers for different schools was a hell of a problem for them. Even at a point, they had to drop out from school, to focus on their business until they scaled. So you don't need to scale big. All you just need to do is build your app, start talking to users. When users give you direct feedback, then you now start to add those features onto your platform, which you now scale to become. So, and these things, of course, you should understand that your business is like your child that you just give birth to, that you give birth to. You need to nurture it. You need to take your time. Your business is like your plant that you need to water, that you need to give all the necessary nutrients. You need to expose it to sunlight. You need to give it manure to grow. So that's how businesses grow. You need to talk to users, manage your users. In fact, your first users, you should send them direct mails to make them understand that's handwritten, hard-coded email, just thanking them for even signing up on your platform. Because your first users are your guinea pigs. They are the ones who are going to be testing. You are using them to test the waters, to even know if you have a business. So just on that, stay on that float. Don't scale, because sometimes if you just scale, you crash, because you don't really understand. you might not have the capacity to scale, because I've seen a lot of companies build new products, and in the process of scaling to expand, they end up incurring more cost. And cost in business is not advisable. You need to know how to cut cost, especially all your operating expense. It has to be on a lower budget. So you should know when to call it a quit when you have a platform that, or you have a startup that is not generating revenue, and there's no, when you see that, man, you guys are heading towards doom, you should know when to cut that thing and scale up. So there's so yeah, the fourth thing I want to talk about is finding the 90-10 solution. So the 90-10 solution is just a strategy. You know, it's just the 90-10 rule can help you make fewer but smarter decisions. So what does this entail? It means having 90% of your task or your job, because being an entrepreneur, it takes a whole lot. Because being an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you are a startup, or you are a small business. People like the likes of Virgin, the Braston, they are entrepreneurs, but they are billionaires that have over 300 companies. So you need to understand how to effectively get 90% of the job or the task done with 10% effort. So being able to maximize distance, making roughly 90% of your decisions that are required, for them to get the job done, simple, and at 10%, minimal cost. So what is this trying to tell you? As an entrepreneur or as a startup, let me use the word startup, you need to multitask. You really want to do, especially if you're the technical founder, doesn't mean that because you are the one doing the coding, maybe you're the one building the solution, you're the one building the app, so then every other person should go to the streets and get feedbacks from user, or do user customer acquisition. It is expected that as a co-founder, as a developer, or the person building the solution, you should be talking to customers. Why is that? While you, despite the fact that you're the one developing it, and you're the one building the entire thing, and you expect that people should give you feedback, it is the other way around. You should go outside and get positive, or even people criticizing what you're building, so that you get a first-hand information of what you should build. And those feedbacks are very, very necessary in every business, even big organizations. If you go through your emails, you see that companies, on a constant basis, they keep sending you questionnaires, they keep sending you surveys, on how to improve their goods and services. The reason why they are doing that is not because they are stupid. They can decide not to even talk to you, but they need to understand the customer's behavioral pattern. They need to understand how the customer is thinking about their business, how the customer is thinking about their service. So imagine if I have a website now that people come to read news content on on my platform on a daily basis. This means that these guys are going to be coming to my platform on a daily basis, like almost like every day. In fact, maybe 2 3 times, depending on how committed or how catching my platform is. So if I have a website that people come in every day, I need to know what is the driving force that makes them come back to my platform every day. And for those who have left, I need to know the reason why they left. Is it that our content are too lengthy, or is it that our content are too maybe biased? Is it that our content are one-sided, or of the gap? Maybe it's too political, and maybe we're always taking sides to maybe the opposition party or something. So these are the things you need to understand. So imagine if you have like an active user of 1 million, and at the end of the day, you lose like 200,000. 200,000, you might think is not a lot to 800,000, but that 200,000, imagine if you manage them well, that 200,000 can actually bring you another extra 250,000, which means, more money for you, and you maximize profit. So it's very important for us to understand this strategy. Being able to, while you're building, you need to multitask, you need to do a lot of things, you need to build, because there is a separate thing for you to have an idea. It's always very difficult, to be able to bring that idea into reality, because it takes a whole lot. You need to be able to build your business plans. You need to be able to do your pitch deck if you want to send your pitch to, you know, a whole lot of things. You need to draw a business model. You need to draw your goals, your financial and non-financial goals. You need to set your projections, maybe your 1 year plan, your 2 year plan, your 3 year plan, your 4 year plan, your 10 years plan. I heard Elon Musk even talking about how he has his 10 year plan, their 10 year projection plan. Some have 30 year projection plan. So the reason being that it helps you plan ahead. Any man that plans, any man that fails to plan has already, planned to fail. So if you plan, you're already on the right step to succeed, because you can always fall back to those things that you've written down and look at them, and always make amends based on the feedbacks and this thing you get from users. So this is very important. Then I move from that to getting your customers. Customers are very, very, very. In fact, they're the lifeline of every business. If you are running a business and nobody is coming to your website, nobody is looking at the products or services that you're selling, it means two things. It means your product is not marketable. You're not supposed to be in market in the first place, because you're not solving any problem. So it's wise that even if that is why it's always wise to always have a business, a problem that you're solving that people can actually sign up, even if your website is even crappy. But because it's even solving a problem, they wouldn't even mind. Imagine if you're solving a problem for cancer patients, and you have maybe a clinical trial drug, and you want to sell it via your platform. Those who are sick won't even be interested in even the beauty of your website. What they will just be after is, okay, how, can this product actually cure me? Can this product actually solve my problem? Can this product actually make me pass my or help me pass my exams? Can this product actually help me? So those are the key things. So they don't even care if your interface is fine, if your product is stable or whatever. All they just want is solution. If you're solving their problems, you know, can this thing help me build my own website? So these are the key things, key areas that you need to look at and understand using this strategy. So getting your from 10, at least 10 to 100 customers is very, very key. So find at least 10 customers that will love your product, that can use your product, because those 10 customers will be the ones selling your solution for you. They will help spread the gospel with the word of mouth. And a business is basically sold with, the word of mouth, basically. So when people talk about your product or your service, it helps in a positive. Even some negative feedbacks too can help you rebrand your product and reposition you for the future. So having said that, all startups are badly broken at some point. This is where, um, this is where you know a lot of companies or a lot of startups actually miss it. Maybe if you hit a brick road while you're you're growing. One thing people don't understand is, I've watched a lot of startup stories, a lot of startup series, a lot of people who have built solutions. Like for instance, Justin Siebel or something Siebel, I don't know his first name. He built he was one that built this Twitch platform. So he said when they started, it was called Justin TV, and it was a reality show kind of platform. That was what they built. At the end of the day, there was no real market for that. So it took them time, to pivot to become something else. And at the end of the day, along the day, they built a six-figure company, which makes a whole lot of sense, you know. And I, I was listening to a startup video, a startup introductory show, and they were talking about how sometimes when you are growing, because that is why it's very good to get real feedbacks from your customers. So when they started fine. They started as a tech company, and they were building nice. They had a solution that they were building, and along the line, when they were pivoting, when they were changing their business model, they ended up building um, powders for secondary school students and for ladies, precisely for young girls. And they found at some point became very miserable. Like, this was not the original plan. We're now finding ourselves in another product. So naturally, he started feeling very uncomfortable with what he was doing, and people could sense that in him. That even his staff, they were like, he's like you're not game again with this thing. It's very obvious that you don't want to continue with this. He was like, no, no, no. At the end of the day, that business died a natural death. Sometimes when you pivot or when your business becomes something like, there's no any startup, most startups at the end of the day, it's not what you started with that becomes, the it's not what you actually built that becomes, that you might end up even rolling out with. Sometimes you find out that you might need to shift that focus from what the original concept was initially to something else. Even Twitter wasn't Twitter initially, it was something else before it became Twitter. So most of all these solutions at some point, they were not the original concept. The ideation phase wasn't even what it is today. So most of them had to, pivot. They had to move as they started getting feedbacks from customers and stuff like that. They needed to change their business model, to something that, customer fit and the product fits. They had a product fit and they were in market and they were actually, serving customers. So at that point, okay, like for instance, I was listening to Mark Zuckerberg when he was talking about at a point when they were doing very fine. They had like I think 10 million users. Then Yahoo came to them and offered them $1 billion, to buy out the stakes, and they eventually turned down the offer. You know, so but when they turned down the offer, it was a trying period for their company because most of the best hands they had then were like, what? You guys kidding me? Like you turned down to $1 billion. So some of the best hands started resigning. Some people even felt like, this guy is losing it, and why not just invest in this thing and let's share the money and stuff like that. But he said, you know what? After so like a year-ish, they were able to bounce back and they were still building more features, and that was how somebody else approached them and they sold at a very in fact the price was unimaginable. So what am I saying in a nutshell? What I'm saying is that sometimes as a startup or as a business owner or as somebody who is a creative, at some point in your business or your service or whatever you're doing, you will definitely hit a brick wall. And when you hit the brick wall, doesn't mean that's the end of the road. It's not the end of that thing. You need to be able to find that drive, the courage to continue, to push till you break that phase. So it's just a phase. And if you understand that, you should be able to surmount that thing and move to the next level. And the next phase, I can assure you, is going to be something that is astronomical. It will take you to the next phase of life. And people want to associate with success. Nobody wants to see somebody that is trying or somebody that is you are still trying to pick up. Everybody wants to associate with the best brands. So that's it. So it takes a whole time, a whole lot to be able to build a business. Sometimes when I'm on Twitter, I see so many people complaining about how they spent over like they overshoot their budget, and this startup thing is not for them and stuff like that because they've spent a lot of money. Sometimes you need to spend money to learn. In fact, you need to make mistakes to be successful. The road to success is not as straight as we think it is. You have to fall, you have to fall so many times. You just have to pick up and keep moving. Keep moving in the sense that the essence of failure is for you to learn your lessons very, very fast. Failure doesn't mean that that's the end of the road. Failure is just a tool, is a medium for success. So if you understand that, but you need to know that okay, there were certain things that you were not doing right. If you take your time to assess yourself, take a mental assessment, physical assessment, whatever you do, assess those things that you've done. You'll find out that there were some points that you made a mistake, and those mistakes were the things that led you to fail. So once you correct them, it will help you grow better. It will help you grow. You form resistance to certain things that might come your way. Every successful man, every billionaire at some point failed. You know, I read a book about Donald Trump's um, biography. There was a book he wrote at one point, and he talked about how he went bankrupt. You know what it means to be a billionaire in dollars, and you just you lose all your investment to the thing that. That's why somebody I really hold at a very high esteem because It's not easy. It is easier for you to be a poor man and remain poor forever all the days of your life. But it's very difficult for a rich man to grow broke and to still come back, stand on his feet and get better. Means he has learned his lessons, and he's able to push back. So this is just a food for thought for us. So, like I said before, another point I want to talk about is write codes and talk to users. It's not good. Most developers that I know, most of the problems or most of the challenges that they usually have is they just want to sit at their comfort zone and just write this code and expect that the code will just work like that, or that they'll just have this fantastic idea. Yeah, and I'm going to build the next sci-fi thing. I was talking to a friend sometimes, and he was telling me how he was building the next um, social media platform, and they was talking about, and I was telling him, look, you know what, don't build because you're just there because you have the technical know-how, you can develop the app. But I was asking him, have you started even talking to users? Have anybody even used this app that you're even talking about, that you spent years building, and you're not, up to now, you're not even live? Have you ever thought about drawing a business model around this thing? Have you talked to any customer? Have they seen it? Have they even used it? Have you even spoken to people about it to even know if what you're building is even important in the first place? Because building a chat application now, where the world is moving to metaverse and augmented reality, virtual and augmented reality, and you're still building social media platform. In the next 5 years, that thing is not going to scale. It's not even going to become value. So why waste your time building something that people have moved on? People hardly go on Facebook these days. So most people, you know, have pivoted. They've moved from that early phase of social media to something else. So if you're not building quickly and you're just there coding, feeling like a superstar, maybe okay, you're the best guy, just sitting there, you're coding and you're just building solutions that nobody will use. You end up at the end of the day, you become very frustrated. Then maybe you just go and pick up a job somewhere, and that's it. You kill your vision, and everything will just die with you. And besides, you had the brilliant idea, but because you're not speaking to people about it, you're not reaching out to people, you're not communicating your ideas to people, they're not feeling what you're saying. You're not talking to prospective users. You're not talking to customers. They are not feeling it. They don't even know if it's even exist in existence. So while wasting your time building all those things, the world will be moving ahead, and you will be there, still, killing yourself in your garage, forming the Steve Wozniak. At the end of the day, nobody's going to even remember you, or nobody's going to even look at you, or even talk to you, or even relate with you. So it's very, very important that while building, and this is strictly for developers or inventors, app inventors, people who are into hardware or software, whatever you're doing. Because I know a lot of developers or programmers who just want to stay indoors and just be reading their own thing. I personally was a victim of that at some point. I just like to be at the back end. I don't like, surfacing in the front. But when I realized that, man, I was just shooting myself in the foot, and now to, start coming out, start talking to people. So my advice is, while you're coding or while you have this idea, this is strictly for programmers or maybe your technical co-founder in your team. They need to realize that, man, the earlier the better you guys start talking to people, um, talking to users, talking to prospective customers, thinking of how to generate revenue, then the better for your company. That is how you're going to grow. And ensure that you have people that will pay for your product, because it's very, very important. You need to develop your revenue strategy, because it's very, very important. If you're able to break that, you're able to get like 5, 10 active people paying for your platform. You are in business. You can be talking to investors, because this is what, in fact, all investors, most times I watch this Dragon Den thing, and I watch how those the venture capitalists, how the kind of things they want to hear from you is, how much time have you spent in your business? How much customers do you have? Is this product viable? Can this thing become the next global thing? Because nobody wants to put in money into something that is not going to go viral or is not going to be valuable. Everybody who's going to put in a penny into your business must ensure that that business is going to scale. That business is going to see the light of the day. That business must make money. The end goal. Everybody giving you money is expecting to see your sheets, to see your revenue sheet. growing astronomically. They don't want to hear stories that, man, okay, you don't have customers. If you don't have customers, they won't talk to you because they know you're not even ready for the business in the first place. You can have customers, but they're not paying. But at some point, they should be able to see the trajectory that, okay, at this point, these people will start paying for these things and you start making money. And okay, maybe they might understand that, okay, maybe in the next 5 years or 4 years, but there has to be a way, or even if those users are not directly paying you, you should be able to generate other strategies of generating revenue. So I have 10 million users on my platform. How do I make money from them? I can do ads, in apps advertising on the platform. People can see or showcase their products, other products and services on my platform, so that I can generate revenue. So that becomes a win-win strategy for you. So you have a platform that has active 1 million users every day. They come to there, but they're not paying. But you cannot transform that into a revenue generation by creating ads on the platform. People can even, start maybe do referrals and stuff like that. So these are strategies on how we can generate revenue. But revenue is very key for any startup. So while you're even starting up, you should be able to understand the model at which you're able to generate revenue. It's very, very important. So another thing mistakes people do make is maybe you go to pitch to venture capitalist, or maybe you enter, you get grants. The truth about that money is the money is not yours. The money is given to you, or was given to you for you to be able to grow that company. And at the end of the day, if you don't put in that resources into what you're supposed to do, you don't expect to get that money. And these guys, if that thing fails, they'll come after you because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. What you're giving the money for, you find out some companies, when they get access to funds like that, they'll go and start, their co-founders start spending money lavishly on flashy cars, um, posh offices. Meanwhile, the business itself will start suffering. So at the end of the day, when they spend too much money on all those fanciful things, at the end of the day, they can't sustain that high growth or that high tempo. So you need to understand how to manage resources is very, very important for every startup. Money management is very, very important. Growth is a result of a great product, not the precursor. Growth is can can so, like, let me give you an instance. Tesla came out from the blues. Like, they weren't selling cars before. Though he was writing, he was a programmer, he has been writing codes. They have different startups that they built in the past. What I noticed is, if you look at the trend of this success, so the most richest, the top most richest men on earth, they are not people who have worked maybe for too long for companies. Yeah, maybe at some point they worked to gain experience and stuff like that. But these are businessmen, they are entrepreneurs, people who built businesses from scratch. Name them: Facebook, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. And these guys are technical, they are very, very technical. Most of them were even writing codes right from their days in university and stuff like that. So most of the richest men on earth are business oriented. They are entrepreneurs, people who are thinking, smart thinkers, people who solve real time problems, people who look inwards and see problems and convert those opportunities to become theirs. So these are the kind of people who make money. So if you know your path to success is going to be a career path, you can focus on a career path. But if you know you want to actually make a real change, it can be a social enterprise. It doesn't necessarily need to be maybe a money generating revenue, but you can impact the world. Your impact can be felt globally. You can do that, but you have to have all these things at the back of your mind. So growth is as a result of a great product. So whatever you're selling means it has value. It's solving a particular problem. People are excited about it. Maybe people, it might be in entertainment. Maybe you built a video game that people that keeps engaging people. Social media game. So whatever you're building that is engaging, so people will definitely come back and pay for the services. So like I said, growth is as a result of a great product. Then I want to move to the next up. Don't scale. Learn. Don't scale your team until you have built something that people want. Yeah. So you should learn to not to scale just hold on till you make sure that you have a product that is viable and that people want to buy and people are willing to queue to buy your product. You know, people actually queue to buy Apple products before they launch their next series. People will be on the waiting list. You have globally people in their millions, queuing to buy products that they've never even seen. So avoid long negotiated deals with big customers. It's all these big branded customers. When you start smaller, they see that you're growing, and they will come to you. Like I gave an illustration of how Facebook, how Yahoo came to them when they were like 10 million users, and they offered them $1 billion. Yeah, they were smart to have chickened out. If they had picked that cash at that point in time, the money is huge, though as of then, but they won't be where they are today now. So sometimes you need to be able to prioritize and be able to say no at some point when those juicy deals come in. So startups can actually solve a given problem well at a particular time. So you don't need to start jumping from one place to another to do multiple things at the same time. You can multitask, you can do some part time, but it's good for focus. When you focus on one thing, you're able to put your attention towards it. Then your founder's relationship matters a lot. You need to be able to find a balance between your co-founder. You be able to know you guys need to be able to be on the same pace. That sometimes you guys will, have a lot of discord, but you should be able to manage those things. Don't let it escalate. Let everybody know what their stance is, and if there are certain things you don't like, you should be able to know how to, how to say your mind, but maybe in a polite way, but just let everybody know what he or she stands to gain and stands to lose. Ignore your competitors, you will most likely die of suicide than murder. If you ignore your competitors, then you'll be in serious trouble. Try as much as possible to be disruptive. Try as much as possible to eliminate competition. Try as much as possible to build a solution that nobody has, or something that before they even get to where you are, they'll play catch up. I'll give you a case scenario. you know we grew up knowing peak milk, and over the years everybody was just so it was like peak milk was for more like the elite, and the low class were finding it very difficult to buy the product. So what did Cowbell do? Cowbell became very disruptive. They were very smart about the whole thing. Cowbell introduced sachet milk. They were the first set of people that brought sachet milk, and the masses loved it because it was affordable. Imagine buying milk, maybe tin milk then was like maybe 500 or 700. Then you have a sachet milk that is 15 naira. So people could relate with it, and I could buy milk at 15 naira and take my tea or take my beverage or take my gari or whatever. And their bottom line is scaled massively before Peak would catch up. They've made their money. So you need to think out of the box and look at what works. It can be a mass market approach. It can be so before the likes of Peak Milk will come back, they've disrupted the market. It became it became, the competition was, very tight. Same thing with IPO with Bleach. I'm not doing any ads for them. IPO was strictly for like the middle and the senior class. Bleach, nobody could afford it. At least the average people couldn't afford it. But IPO followed suit. Same thing. Um, uh, Cowbell did. They brought in sachet and made it very affordable for people to be able to buy bleach to wash their clothes. And before you knew it, the rest became history. So being able to understand business models matters a lot. And of course, you should know that technology is the driver of every business. Without your strategy on technology, you will not be able to, scale at the state at the pace that you need to scale. You'll not be able to reach the end point of, wherever you want to be, and maybe to become a global brand or global, reposition yourself for the future. So be nice, or at least don't be a fucking jack. Sorry for the effort. So, but the truth is, you need to be able to know how to find a balance in whatever you're doing, and the startup journey, it's not always easy. it takes a whole lot. I think we're going to be ending the startup series here today. So a quick recap of what I've said from the beginning. You need to understand that the journey of being a startup is very complex. It takes a whole lot of guts. You know, so you need to understand that building a business requires a whole lot, a whole lot. You need to understand certain things about how to reposition yourself. You need to be patient, diligent. You need to be dedicated to what you're doing. You need to know when to call it a quit. You need to launch your product as soon as possible. You need to, build something that people want to use. Be able to look for your revenue strategy. You need to be able to find at least 10 customers. You need to, focus on so many things. But at the same time, being able to maximize your time. At this note, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that's listening to me. So, like, come your way again, same time next week. I would like us to follow this, or to continue this conversation on all our social media platforms. Please ensure to let's continue this conversation. So, if you have more questions to talk about, or you want to ask me, or you want me to, redirect you or reposition you to whatever you want, just send me a mail or shoot or on a social media platform. Let's continue this conversation and see how we're going to take it to the next level. Please follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, which is Lagoon Radio Nigeria, on Twitter and Instagram, which is Lagoon Radio, and on our TV channel, which is Lagoon.TV. For more information, please go to our website, which is Lagoon.News. Till I meet you again, same time next week, I still remain your host. My name is Odo Emmanuel. Be focused. Remain steadfast. Yeah, so I believe we can always, impossibility is nothing. Impossibility is not an option. I believe everything is possible. If you believe, you definitely hit the fruit of your labor. So on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that listened to me today. Till I meet you, come again your way again next time, same time next week. I still remain your host, Odo Emmanuel. I'm signing out. Say peace. Till we meet again. Thank you.
This is Lagoon Radio.